And now we are going to Bastiaan de Groot from Ingi. Let me see if I can get Bastiaan on stage. Let me see. Hello, Bastiaan. Are you there?
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, that was it?
Are you here? Yeah.
I am here.
How are you was my question. How are you?
Excellent. How are you?
Very good, very good. Looking forward
always...
to a little vacation, and then all things are on MIPIM. I think you're also going to MIPIM in Canada.
I will most certainly join you at MIPIM. Very much looking forward to that. It's going to be my first MIPIM. This has been cancelled the last episode, so I'm very much looking forward to being there and to being there together with all the other Holland and PropTech partners.
Yeah, it's a lot of people going. A lot of people that I speak to are going to MIPIM. So yeah, really looking forward to be there a couple of days and hopefully nice weather and meeting a lot of real estate people.
Yes. Of course, we're going for the real estate people, not for the nice weather, are we?
Yes, that's it. Hey, do you have a presentation that you would like to share, Bastiaan?
Yes, I am trying to. Oh wait.
You can just share your screen, or you can upload your presentation, but then it needs to be less than 50 MB, I think.
Yeah, I think this is where it's going wrong. It is uploading, but it's not.
Oh, well, then it should work. Then it should work if it's uploading.
Yeah, but it's been uploading for the last 15 minutes.
Oh, no, that's no, it should go faster than that. Or your internet connection is not, you can also share your complete screen. That's also a possibility.
Yes, I'm just getting my email off my screen. And I will share my slides.
Yes, there they are.
Oh, the upload's finished.
I can just. Oh, the other one is finished. Oh, this is what you uploaded.
Yes.
Oh, well, this can also work.
Yes, this would even work better. Excellent. Well, shall I start then?
Yes, I give the floor to you.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to present. My name is Bastiaan de Groot. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Ingi. And what we do is we help you turn your building smart by utilizing your lighting upgrade. Lots of buildings are getting their lighting upgraded at the moment because of the LED energy saving potential. And at the same time, lots of people are retrofitting a lighting control system. And what we do is we retrofit the luminaires, and at the same time make every luminaire a backbone node to deploy a dedicated IoT network in the building. And the way we really differentiate from others that are trying to do the same is the scale of our wireless network, which is tens of thousands of nodes, making sure that the lighting solution is comparable in price to a normal lighting control solution, making all the data available and making sure that the client has full possession and access to all of its data, and the breadth of beyond lighting applications that our backbone network in the lighting then enables, which includes asset tracking, occupancy analytics, indoor navigation, climate monitoring, and many more. So how are we making a difference in the smart lighting, smart building market, and why would you even want to use lighting as the backbone of your smart building? So first of all, we make sure that the lighting doubles as the infrastructure. And that allows us to really reduce the capex cost that you have to make your building smart. Right? So every luminaire will already start providing you occupancy data, which we saw in the previous presentation. which was all about analyzing the occupancy rate of your building. But that still means you have to deploy large amounts of sensors in your building. If you use the presence information from your lighting, then obviously that capex cost falls away. But we can do much more. So every node, we know the location of every luminaire, so we can do asset tracking. And without having to deploy nodes around your building to enable asset tracking or other location-based services like indoor navigation, the lighting budget already paid for this. So without any additional investment in infrastructure, you can already start deploying asset tracking and indoor navigation into your building. We give you a perfect coverage of the wireless network inside your building, because again, every room has multiple luminaires that each replicate any wireless signal. And therefore, we make sure that any sensor in every corner of the building has perfect reach. We do all of this without increasing your lighting budget. So the lighting budget does not need to increase against existing lighting solution. So then a very important thing is that the sensor network that we basically enable through the lighting is cross-functional. So we see that the sensor data that we deliver is being used both by the BMS, the admin system, the IT, and the portfolio management software of the real estate portfolio. We work with partners wherever we can, which means you don't have any lock-in, which you get with a lot of vertical solutions in this space. Instead, what we do is we make sure we get the data out, and we deliver the connectivity for the sensors to connect to the internet in a very cost-efficient way. But we can work with existing lighting suppliers. We can work with a wide range of sensors provided from our ecosystem with hundreds of different sensors in there. And we connect to any existing portal. So we do not force you to use our portal solution, but instead integrate with whatever portal solution you prefer to work. So how does our ecosystem look like? We have a big ecosystem of existing portal suppliers that we already integrate with and that our solution works with out of the box. But that doesn't mean we can't use any other portal solution. So if you have an existing portal solution, or maybe you've built your own data lake solution, we can integrate into those as well. We have a wide network of sensor manufacturers that all supply sensors that are integrated, which includes climate sensors, people counting sensors, power metering sensors that all use our backbone network to connect to the cloud. We have existing lighting suppliers that already integrate with our solution, but a lot of those partners also supply standalone sensors that can connect to any luminaire brand that allows us to work with any existing luminaire brand. And then we have a number of international partners that can integrate and install our solution, including Kroonwolter and Drost, Equans, and Telechi and Bings, and many more. And like I said, we are super open. So we provide an MQTT feed, which allows you to, usually within a matter of 1 or 2 days, integrate our data into any existing portal. We are open using both Bluetooth and Wirepass as a solution to connect additional sensors, which gives us access to hundreds of partners with all kinds of different sensors that can use the backbone from our luminaires, created by our luminaires, to connect to the cloud. And we use all the standard interfaces in the lighting industry to connect to any luminaire manufacturer. So even if for one of the parts you want to use a partner that is not in our existing ecosystem, we can typically integrate them very quickly. So how does using the lighting as your backbone deliver value? Now, here's, for example, a great example, which is asset tracking. So, especially in hospitals, people deploy a lot of different asset tracking solutions to track medical equipment, or in logistics, try it to track forklift trucks or other equipment. And in order to track those in real time, you need to deploy a network of anchor nodes that you can deploy across the building. And what we do is we take that cost out, right? So you still need to put a tag on every object that you want to follow, but you don't need to deploy all the anchor nodes that you normally have to install all across your building to be able to track your anchors, your assets. And that is typically a saving of about 30% in the total cost of rolling out asset tracking in a large hospital or a logistic hall. I think the previous speaker already spoke a lot about optimizing real estate use and the different savings that you can achieve. But again, what we actually do there is making sure that you don't need to go into the entire building and deploy all these occupancy sensors. We actually get this from the lighting system, and that can be standard PIRs, but we also have slightly upgraded sensors that can double to control your lighting, but can also, for example, count people using, for example, camera-based technologies without increasing the cost for the sensors by a lot. We enable indoor navigation, helping people, both visitors of your building or your employees, help navigate and find their way inside the building, where again, we take the cost out of deploying iBeacons throughout your facilities. By using our data, we see that we're often the missing link, right? So we take something like presence data, we push that into a portal like the BMS, and then that can be used to turn the switch, the lights off, which obviously our lighting control system also does. But we can also turn the heating off, or we can turn the blinds open, and take that in an integrated way to make sure you make the optimal decision across all three at the same time. And then the number of use cases that our network enables and that our ecosystem of portals and sensor products enables is endless, right? So that ranges from dynamic cleaning and cleaning only rooms that have been used, to climate monitoring, to service buttons or feedback buttons, to real-time insights in the usage of materials like towels or dispensers, line monitoring, meeting room usages, security data, monitoring park spaces, checking medical refrigerators and medical goods if they have been stored outside of temperature conditions, proactive maintenance based on vibration, etc. So what some of the case studies that we've done. One very large customer of us is the UMCU in Utrecht, where we rolled out in one department the different applications, so indoor asset navigation, occupancy analytics, asset tracking, climate monitoring, call buttons, and lighting control, all integrated into our wireless backbone enabled by the luminaires, and feeding that into the portal systems of the UMCU. Another large installation is the Zone College, which is the smartest school in the Netherlands, where we, of course, deliver the entire lighting control system, but also all the data is also used to optimize the HVAC, and we're currently experimenting with applications like asset tracking and feedback buttons on the facility management, which is very important in the school. So what's very important to understand is that we offer our solution as a very simple starter kit. So we can start with the lighting, but even if you want to try out the network capabilities without replacing all the luminaires, we can actually go into a trial kit with just battery-powered sensors. We can demonstrate and test all the beyond lighting use cases, and then looking at integrating this into your lighting retrofit only when that is actually occurrent, right? So that when you've proven the use cases of the smart sensors technology and you want to look at the rollout and really look at the rollout cost, then we can go and engage with the lighting team to make sure that the right technology is integrated into the lighting, so we can use that as the backbone to reduce the cost of rolling out the use cases that have been validated to deliver value in your organization. So that was it. Robert, I don't know if there was time for a quick Q&A. Wouter?
There is always time for Q&A. I think so. So I've asked this question, of course, before. How do you see the real estate industry adapting this the most? Where is it happening? Is it happening in offices? Is it happening in industrial? Is it happening in different kind of environments? Where do you see it happening the most?
I mean, it really depends on the use case, right? What is quite nice is that we get quite a wide view because we integrate all these different sensors on our network, and we see different sectors taking off with different use cases. So, for example, our asset tracking is very strong.
Yeah.
And we see this taking off very strongly in hospitals, right? The business case is just so immensely strong. We reduce the amount of healthcare equipment that you need by about 10 to 15% by simply knowing better where it is. Well, a bed, any medical equipment just starts at 5,000, 10,000 euros. If you can put a 30-euro tag on it and then save 10 to 15% of its usage, it's a huge business case. So that takes off hugely in the healthcare.
Yeah.
Asset tracking in logistics is also a strong use case. But then we see, for example, that people counting is much stronger in offices, right? Which I think also the last application was talking about, for the last presenter was talking about, okay, how many people are actually in my meeting rooms? And there, people counting and space utilization is a big topic there. So it really depends on the specific sensor, the specific technology
and the business case that you can create.
Exactly.
Which kind of business cases do you think are the most interesting right now? You mentioned like the asset tracking.
Asset tracking is by far our number one. At the moment we see in offices, climate monitoring is of course a big one with the CO2, with all the new regulation. We see a huge increase in the CO2 monitoring, and then people counting, especially now that people are coming back to the offices. But we all know that the offices will be used differently. So people really are hungry for data on how is the office actually being used in this new world, and are our assumptions actually correct?
Yeah, and is how do you see that the data is being used right now? Is it already being used as you think it should?
No, I think the big thing that people are struggling with is bringing it together, right? So we see a lot of people that go for one point solution. So they saw one sensor that was nicely presented, and they're like, yeah, okay, I'll have that one sensor, and then they see another sensor and they put that in, and then they end up with 3 different sensors. And they can't integrate, and they all come with their own network, their own wireless network backbone. They all come with their own portal. They all don't want to give data to the others, and if they give data to others, then they still want you to charge you for their own portal because that's their business model. We really believe in an ecosystem approach where customers can pick and choose what they want. But then
the ecosystem then needs to be connected.
Then the ecosystem, yes. So we do that, right? We make sure that we have a box of ecosystem partners you can choose from, and that we guarantee that they work together. But then still you need to think as a customer, right? Which sensors do I then want? And if you just take that one cool sensor that you saw in a presentation, then you don't need to do that hard architectural thinking. And I think that's where we're where the market really is at. Is lots of people do cool POCs, lots of people do cool presentations, and now we're seeing some of our customers are really getting it and really rolling this out on large scale.
Yeah.
But that means thinking about the architecture, thinking about, well, how am I going to service this for 10, 15 years? What if one of the suppliers falls over? And that's really a big step from the POC to the rollout. And that's where I currently see a lot of people struggling.
Yeah, and where is the struggle going to end up? Because if people are really struggling, or a sensor is struggling, and it falls out of the ecosystem, how can you guarantee that it works for a long time, the ecosystem? Because you really need to have all companies working together.
You need all working companies together, but I mean, if you're looking at a period of 15 years, then you just have to assume that suppliers will fall over, right?
Yeah.
It's not a question. If you have an ecosystem, you have 10 suppliers. It's not a question, how do I ensure that none of them falls over? No, the question is, one of them will fall over. How do I ensure that that's not a problem? I think that's really
how can you make the ecosystem so flexible that if somebody falls out, that you can fit in somebody new?
So yeah, for example, we have 6 different suppliers of temperature sensors. Well, if one of them falls over,
you have 5 other
you
ones.
can't get the exact one, but probably the one you pick now in 10 years is outdated anyway. And we have 20 different portal suppliers. So if one of the portal suppliers falls over, you make sure that all the other bits stay intact, right?
Yeah.
And that you have the documentation and the open interfaces to ensure that you can swap out one part of the ecosystem without falling over.
Yeah, I think that's very important. Which developments do you see the upcoming years?
I think the big one is opening up and slicing the industry, right? So what you always see in any industry, and I mean this goes back to the radio days, right? Why did Philips end up with producing radios and have a record company? Because in the beginning they did everything as one integrated solution, right? You bought the records from Philips and you played them on a Philips radio player. And over time, the market gets cut up into ecosystems that work together by open standards or de facto standards. And that's what we're really seeing happening in the market right now is, we're moving, the first movers were all vertically integrated solutions. And that makes sense, right? If you want to go fast, go alone. Build a vertically integrated solution, you're to the market first. But we're now seeing more and more de facto standards rising, even if they're not fully standardized standards, in an IEEE standard. If it's a de facto standard and everybody works with it, and it's open and it's documented, that's also fine. I mean, we work with a lot of things we call standards that are not open standards by the name, but as long as everyone can work with it and it's open documented, you can cut the solution open, and that's what we're really seeing at the moment, right? So the time of the vertically integrated solutions is starting to decline, and more the ecosystem play is arising, and that's a natural evolution of an industry like this.
Yeah, and if I can ask one more question about this ecosystem, because in this ecosystem a lot of data is going around and a lot of data is being shared within the ecosystem. Who is eventually the owner of the data?
I mean,
is it just like the overall platform where the data comes in, or is it the owner of the building, or is it a tenant? How do you see that?
I mean, it's an important question. It's a very important question to ask. But I mean, it needs more detail to the question, right? The devil is in the detail, because what does ownership mean?
Yeah.
Right? What does it actually mean to own your data? I mean, am I, as a supplier, maybe allowed to analyze all the data across? I mean, there is a very cool quote, which is, I think, from Professor von Bentham, which used to be at the UvA, which says, information is the only resource that increases in its usage. And there's actually a lot of thought to that, right? So if you have if you have oil, if I use the oil is gone, right? So if you own the oil, I can't own it. But that's not the case with data. I can own the data and you can own the data at the same time. And
as well, yeah.
And actually, if we both use it, actually the data might become more valuable because we make more connections with the data. And if I add a connection to the data becomes more valuable to you. And I think that's really a mind shift people need to make in this discussion about who owns the data as well. What does it actually mean to own the data?
Yeah, so you want to talk about who uses the data and who uses the data which way.
Exactly. I mean, the client can use it to analyze it, but then I can maybe still do a cross analysis across all my customers, and that doesn't hurt you. I think what is very important is that you don't keep paying for something that is yours. I think that is some of the business models that we see. Well, I take your data and I put it in a vault, and it is already your data, and you first have to pay me for gathering the data. And then if you want to have access to it, you have to pay it again, which is, I think, the scientific publisher model, right? This is like they get all the data for free from the scientists, and then the scientists have to pay to read their own publications again. And I think that's a really rotten model, and that you shouldn't want, right? Once it's your data, you can pay for storing it and you can pay for the computational power, but not to access your own data again. I mean, that is a business model you should not accept, in my view.
No, that's a little bit crazy. Yeah,
well, I mean, I can show you the contract.
I know. Yeah, but I think that will probably change sometime. Maybe real estate players don't understand yet what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I cannot see that that's a long-term business model. But I know they exist. Yeah. But let's see how that evolves over time.
Yes.
Hey, Bastiaan, thank you very much for being with us. And we will see each other again this week. But then we do a session in Dutch.
Yes.
About smart buildings.
But I think we already covered some of the questions actually in that session. But that's not a...
No, that's not a problem because then it's a different audience.
Exactly.
And then, of course, we will see each other a couple of weeks later in Cannes as well in France. So
looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it as well.
Okay.
Thank you very much for being here, and see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you.